Welcome to your polynomial review, characteristics, zeros, and multiplicity. On number 1, you are to identify all given characteristics for the function shown below. Use your calculator to find any unknown values to 3 decimal places. 3 decimal places. On number 1, this part right here, it says to name it. When you name it, you want to look at your highest degree. And the highest degree right there is a 5. And since it's a 5, a name for that would be called a quintic. Quintic. Your domain is all your x-axis, your farthest left to your farthest right. If you look at this graph, you will see how this graph does not start right here. It starts way back here because the arrow continues on. So you are starting at negative infinity. And where do you stop along your x-axis? You're starting as far right as you can. It doesn't stop here or here. Notice the arrow keeps going. And so it's going to continue on to infinity. Or you can also write all real numbers. Your range is always your y value, okay? Domain is your x. This is from lowest to high. What is your lowest point? Your lowest point is not right here. It is not right here. It is way down here. So you're starting really low, and that low point for this graph is from negative infinity. How high does this graph go? It continues on and on and on to infinity. Or you can write that as all real numbers. Okay. The word limits here means the same thing as an in behavior. So if you want to mark that off and write in behavior, I will be perfectly fine with that. Okay? In behavior, there's a left and a right in behavior. So let's take a look at our left. On the left-hand side, you notice we're talking about the 2 arrows here. We have this one going this way and one going down. So I'm going to encompass it. Notice your x-axis goes left to right, and here's your y going up and down. What is taking place on that left axis? Take a look. As x is heading toward negative infinity, see how it's going this way? What is happening to that y? Where is y going? Your y is heading toward negative infinity. Look at your right in behavior. We're going to look at this arrow right here. This is on the right hand side. You can encompass it like this. Here is your x-axis, okay, and your y goes up and down. We want to know what is going on right there at the very end. Well, if you look, where is x heading? X is heading toward your positive infinity. As x is heading toward your positive, which way is y going? Y is heading toward positive infinity also. Your x-intercept. This means where are you crossing the x-axis, okay? Sometimes you can just look at it and tell. If you look at that one, x is crossing at 4. But the other 2, we don't quite know. So what you can do is you can actually use your calculator to help you. So if you would, get on your calculator and go ahead and clear the calculator. Go to y equal. At this moment, I have something in it, so I'm going to clear that. And I'm going to type this equation in here. So you have x raised to the 5th, right click, minus 4x raised to the 4th, right click, plus 2x raised to the 3rd, right click, minus 8x squared, minus 15x plus 60, okay? And you can just graph. Now notice all my graph, I only see a portion of it. Not like this, but you can change your window. Basically, you're changing your parameters. So if I take a look, you can hit window, okay? Notice how my x minimum is on this side. This is your x minimum. This is your x maximum. Here's your y minimum. Here's your y maximum. Take a look toward your x minimum. Your lowest point right here is somewhere around -2. So if you stick with -4, you should be fine, okay? Look at your far right. You see how it's at 4? I'm going to change my x maximum to something a little higher. So I can change it to 6. Some of you like that -10 to 10, and that is just fine. Your scale, that means one of your little tick marks, I'm going to keep it at 1. That means every one of these is increasing by 1. Your y minimum. Notice how low your y is? It's about -90. That's your relative minimum. So I'm going to change that to a -100, okay? Your y maximum. Well, I like to keep mine symmetrical, so if this one is -100, I'm going to make my y 100 also. When you get to your y scale, that means every little tick mark, I want them to spread out so it looks not so bunched together. Notice how you're increasing by 20, 40, 60, 80. So I'm going to change my y scale to 20, and I'm going to hit graph. Now, as you can see everything so much better. See all those 3 points? Well, I found this first one to be 4. You can find the other 2 as well. To find that, you want to go to your zeros, okay? So hit second, calculate. See where it says zeros? Zeros is the same thing as your x-intercept. So hit 0. I'm going to find this point first. Do you guys see where it says left boundary? Do you see how what's blinking is to the left of that? Hit enter. You have set your left boundary. Right click over, go past what you're looking for, and go to the right of it. So anywhere below that point, I'm going to hit enter. And it says, hey, you want me to guess? Well, yeah. Okay. So what is your zeros? Where is x crossing at that point? It is crossing at 1.732. And you know you are correct because look at your y. Your y says it is a 0. Okay? So, your x-intercept is at 4. Your other one is 1.732. You can write it like that, or you can write it like this, comma 0. For example, 1.732, comma 0. You can also write it like that. Let's go ahead and find our other one. So you're going to do the same thing, okay? Second, calculate, see the 0, hit 2. Now I'm going to left click over. I'm trying to find this point. So we're going to left click over. Now, you see this down here? See how that's left of the point I want? Hit enter. Let's go find our right boundary anywhere above it, because see how that's to the right of it? Okay, hit enter. And yes, please tell me what that is. And it is at -1.732. So your other intersection is -1.732. So there's your 3 crossing. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Your y-intercept is always the constant right here. The c value, that constant is always your y-intercept. So y is equal to 60. You can write it like this, or you can write 0, 60. Both of those are correct. Those means the same thing, so either one. All right. On your next part, we're going to check for our relative minimum, okay? Relative means it's your lowest point, but it's not your absolute. So here's your lowest minimum. To find that, you can use your calculator to help you. So go to second, calculate. You see where it says minimum? Hit 3, okay? Where's our minimum? Down here. Now, if you notice, I'm having a hard time seeing that. I might want to change my window. You can or not. I'm going to change my window to -120 so I can just see it a little bit better, okay? So give me just a moment. There you go. Now you see we can find our relative minimum much more easily. Second count, go back to that, hit 3. You can hit it anywhere between here and here. So here's my left boundary. Go over your turn, right there. Anywhere above that, I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to give me my minimum. And how do you know you have the minimum? It tells you so on your calculator. So my minimum, I'm going to go ahead and write it up here because that's going to help me later. 3.225, comma, negative 88.330. That is my relative minimum. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write it down here. So you have 3.225, comma, negative 88.330. Notice, I only have one relative minimum. You can have more than one. Okay. Let's go ahead and find our relative maximum. Our maximum is way up here. Same thing. So go to second calc. See where it says maximum? Hit 4. Okay. Let's go ahead and find our left boundary. So I got to be left of the curve. So I'm going to scroll over to the left of it, anywhere to the left. I'm going to hit enter. Go past the curve so I can find my relative maximum anywhere there. You can do it right here, anywhere after the curve. So my relative maximum is, see how it tells you it's a maximum? You want to write that down, okay? So your relative maximum is negative 0.580, comma, 65.100. So there you have your relative maximum. And I'm going to label it up here in my graph to help me later. So negative 0.580, comma, 65.100. Okay? So there I have label. This is going to help me. All right. Next part. Notice I only have one relative maximum. Interval increasing. So you're looking at a section of graph and you're trying to see where you are increasing. Well, let's take a look. Always use your x value, okay? And it is always in parentheses. Look at increasing. Increasing, I'm going to start here and I'm going to go up and it's going to stop right there. So there's one of my increasing. That increasing starts where? X value. It starts at negative infinity, comma. Where does it stop? Look at your x value right there. It stops at negative 0.580. Okay? So there's one of your increases. Do you have another one? Yeah, it's right here. Starts here and goes on and on and on. So there's your other relative increases. Okay? So where are you starting from for your increase? We are starting at 3.225, read left to right, and it continues on forever to infinity. So I have 2 increases. Let's look at your decrease. Okay? Decrease starts from here and it comes down. See how it goes down from left to right? There is your decrease. Where are you starting in your x value? Right here. And where does it stop? It stops at this x-axis. I'm sorry, x number. So here we go. Excuse me. So negative 0.580, that's your x value that it starts, and it ends at 3.225 x value. That was the only increase you have, and now you have filled that out. Okay? You can do this. So there is a lot here to do, but it's all based on one graph. All right, let's start another one. Here we go. Number 2. Go ahead and enter your information to the calculator. Okay? Here's a little reminder. Second quit, get out of it. Go ahead and enter your equation. Y equal, clear that. I have x raised to the 4th, right click, plus 4x raised to the 3rd, right click, minus 5, and hit graph. Okay? Now notice, this graph looks nothing like that one. I'm going to check real quick just to make sure that I punch in the right numbers. X to the 4th plus 4x to the 3rd minus 5. So I did, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go change the window. Look at the graph I have given you. Use that to help you. I'm going to change this. See how it stops here at negative 4 for me? Let's make that into, say, a negative 8 so I can see it a little bit better. Look at your other side, your x maximum. See how it stops at 1? Why don't we go a little further and put a 3? Okay. Your scale. let's keep it where it is. Your minimum, take a look, it stops at negative 40. So I'm going to change that to negative 40. Y maximum, they have it at 10. Now notice your scale is by 5, so I'm going to change that to a 5. And I'm going to graph, just so I have an idea of what this graph looks like. There you have it, okay? So you have an idea what your scale look like. You know what, I think I might want a little higher, but that's just me, so I'm going to change that to actually a 15, so I can see the graph so much better. Okay, so there I have my graph. Now you can use that graph, and we're going to answer a lot of it since you did the major part. Let's name it first. Let's take a look at the name. You see how it's to the 4th? Since it's to the 4th, that is called a quartic, okay? Naming it is not how many terms I have. Naming it is depending on the degree, and this degree is the 4th. Your domain, far left to far right. Notice I don't start here, I start way over here, and that is all real number, okay? Your range, well, at this moment, this is your lowest point. I don't know what that number is. So that's also your relative minimum. We can go ahead and find that first, okay? So let's go ahead and find our relative minimum. Second, calc, see the minimum? Because those are low points. It says left bound, enter. Go over the curve, enter. Yes, please tell me what that is. Okay, so this point right here is negative 3 comma negative 32. Range is always your y value. So how low? What is your low y value? It starts at negative 32. How high is this going? It continues on toward the positive. So it's infinity. Always your y value, okay? Not your x. Let's take a look at our end behavior. Let's look at the left. See where the arrow is? This is the left arrow. Kind of put a square around it. You see that right there? Here's your x, here's your y. Let's see what's taking place. Where is x going? X is heading toward the negative infinity. See how it's heading that way? Which way is your y heading toward? It is going up. So y is heading toward the positive infinity. Let's look at the right-hand side. Let's see what's taking place. This is the right arrow. This is your end behavior. See, I'm just going to enclose that, and I want to see where it's going. X runs horizontal, y runs vertical. So let's see. What is x doing right there? X is going toward positive value. While x is doing that, y is also heading in that direction. It's also heading up, so they're both are positive, okay? Your x-intercept. Well, this looks like it's a negative 4, and that looks like 1. But make sure you double check to make sure. Two different ways. You can use your 0, see how it's 0? Or I'm going to do my value, so I'll show you guys one more way, okay? So hit 1 for value. I said, I think it's crossing at negative 4. Let's double check. So hit negative 4, enter. Oh, look, it's at negative 5. So that can't be right, okay? Let's do the other way. 2, 0. Go to the left, enter. Right of that, enter. Guess what? It's not crossing at 4. It's crossing at negative 4.074. Okay, so notice how it's not at 4. So don't ever assume. So x is crossing at negative 4.074. I have another crossing. That looks like 1. Let's see. You can do the zeros or the value. I'm going to try this one. I'm going to hit 1. Notice how y is 0. When y is 0, then I know this one's correct. Okay? So you can write it like that, or you can write 1, 0. Your choice. Y-intercept. Look at your information up here. Which one is the only constant? Negative 5. So y is crossing at negative 5. See that right there? It's crossing at negative 5. Relative minimum. Hey, we already found it. It is at negative 3, negative 32. Okay? It says relative maximum. Well, there's really not a relative maximum. See how there's a little wave right there? So it's really not a maximum or a minimum. So you can just write none, okay? Because there's not really one. Let's take a look at our interval increasing. Where is it increasing? Well, we are starting right here to increase. Remember, it's always your x value, and it continues on forever. So where is it starting to increase? At -3, and it continues on towards infinity. So there is your increasing. Let's take a look at our decreasing. Where are you decreasing? Starting here, and you're going to come down. See that right there? Okay? What is the x value right here? Well, you're starting at -infinity, but you're going to stop at -3. And so there you have your characteristics of a graph. Okay? Hope that helps. We'll continue the next one on another video. Thank you.